The Lost Flower, Chapter 4, The King of the Night Sky, by yours truly, Mason Charles Haggett. Narrator. Scott wakes up after a long night. After being attacked by Carsreel, Cherry and him found a nice patch of snow and made a fire, and he fell asleep. Cherry stayed awake because she was paranoid. Scott. Geez, how long have you been awake? Cherry the Flower. All night. I've been awake especially after what happened last night. Scott. Oh, that's not good, because especially after that display of magic you showed yesterday, I'm going to need you. Cherry the Flower. ... Scott. Are you okay, Cherry? Cherry the Flower. No. Carsreel, my brother, he's not a good person. He's lost. He doesn't know who he is anymore. Scott. What do you mean he doesn't know who he is anymore? Cherry the Flower. Well, after Father died, and I supposedly died, you know what? Just forget about it. Scott. No, what is it? Cherry the Flower. Oh, nothing. Scott. If we're going to be doing this together, we have to know each other. I mean, you know me. I'm a pretty open book. I'm your generic Joe Schmo. But you have a few secrets. So tell me about Carsreel. Cherry the Flower. Alright then. Me and Carsreel are from an alternate universe called True Underfell, a place of true horror and treachery. The humans banished us down there again and sealed us in with another magical barrier. Scott. Sealed in where? Cherry the Flower. Underground. It was horrifyingly crowded. Before thar on the surface during the second war of monsters and humans. Our father, Azrael Dreamer, died. So did I. Scott. Then how are you here now? Cherry the Flower. Well, you see, I died. It was really sad. But I lived when Elliot saved Dr. Wingdings from the void. He used the fragments of my soul and determination to bring me back to life. Scott. Who's Elliot? Cherry the Flower. One of Dr. Gaster's grandchildren. Scott. Who's Dr. Gaster? Cherry the Flower. Father of Sans and Papyrus. Scott. Who's that? Cherry the Flower. Sans is the father of Elliot, and Papyrus is Sans' wacky brother. Scott. Oh, okay. I'm still kind of confused, but whatever. Cherry the Flower. Then, can I finish telling you later? Scott. Oh, come on. It just started getting good. Cherry the Flower. Look, I didn't get any sleep. I'll finish later. Scott. Look, can you just tell me about your brother, though? Cherry the Flower. Fine. He was a salesman, right hand to our mother, the Queen. Everyone knew him, and he loved it. Then it all went away, and he was forgotten. Eventually, our universe fell apart, and Elliot, Franz, and him all went to the Forgotten Realm. But then he escaped, and now he's here, ready to raid again. Scott. Wow, that's intense. Shh. Alright then, I'm still confused, but I guess I'll ask you more later. Narrator. Scott grabs Cherry out of the ground and puts her on his shoulder, and then starts walking through the rough, treacherous forest. He still wonders about how Cherry was able to use all that magic earlier. It was spectacular. And how she was able to pick up her brother with her mind. He didn't understand more than half of the story that Cherry told him. How can an entire universe be destroyed? Who knows? All he knows is he needs to get out of the Dark Realm, and after that, he can ask Cherry more questions. The snow crunches under his feet. 20 minutes later. Narrator. Scott can see the gate as he runs towards it. He can hear the crunching get louder and louder as he does. But then he sees two guards in front of the gate and quickly hides behind a tree. Guard 3. Hey, 4! Did you hear anything? Guard 4. No, why? Guard 3. I thought I heard someone walking over here, but I guess not. Guard 4. Oh, 3. Your ears always deceive you. Guard 3. Or maybe you're just deaf. Scott. So, Cherry, what do we do? Cherry the Flower. Maybe we can see if there's a back door. Scott. Yeah, I guess. Narrator. The castle is huge, about 190 feet tall. They go around it, which takes about 30 minutes, and it turns out there's a back door, and it's not a giant gate, just a regular door, with absolutely no guards. Cherry wonders to herself why they would be so stupid to not put a door in the back with no guards at all. Scott doesn't wonder about this because he himself is an idiot. Scott. Alright, so what's the plan? Cherry the Flower. What do you mean a plan? We don't even know what's in there. How are we supposed to make a plan? Scott. Okay. Narrator, Scott charges at the door. Cherry the Flower, no, you stupid idiot, we need to make a plan. Narrator, but it was already too late. Scott already opened the door, and inside there was a room and a bunch of icemen and snowmen were having a meeting in there. They are sitting around a circular table. There seems to be a bunch of judges and the king, and a large man with a mustache, and a human man. Judge 1. Hey, yo, we're trying to have a meeting in here. Haven't you ever heard of knocking before? King Knight. Wait a second, isn't that a human, Mr. Mustache? It's a flower! Everyone on guard! Narrator, all the icemen snap their fingers and summon their bow and arrows, while the snowmen summon some snowballs ready to be thrown. Scott digs in his pockets to see if there's anything that can help him out of the situation. He pulls out a pack of unopened Pokemon cards. Scott, do you guys like Pokemon? Narrator, they all fire just as Cherry wraps her vines around Scott's neck and then extends another one of her vines and opens one of the vents and quickly pulls Scott and her into the vent before the arrows hit. Then she quickly closes the vent. Cherry the Flower. Phew! That was a close one. Scott. Cherry the Flower. Oops, sorry about that. Narrator, Cherry unwraps her vines from Scott's neck. Oh my goodness, Scott, are you okay? Scott, no, I'm not. Cherry the Flower, what's wrong? I dropped my Pokemon cards. Narrator, Cherry attaches herself back onto Scott's shoulder. Scott, alright, where do we go now? Cherry the Flower, so the dark orb is located behind the king's throne room, so I guess whatever vent brings us closer to the king's throne room. Scott, how am I supposed to know that? Do you think I'm Google's younger brother? Cherry the Flower, no, I don't. I just know where to go from here. Obviously stressed. Scott, it's okay. I'll get us out of this realm. You just sit back and watch. Narrator, Scott begins crawling through the vent. It's a long time until he sees his first vent opening. In the first vent opening, he looks through the small gates and sees the king communicating with a couple of ice soldiers. King Knight, we saw them go into the vents, so they could end up anywhere, so split up. Guard 3, Guard 4, Guard 5, Guard 6, and Guard 7. Sir, yes, sir! Narrator, they split up everywhere. King Knight, so where could they be? Scott. Narrator, he continues going through the vents until he sees another exit. This exit is in some dining room. He and Cherry crawl out of the vent. The floor is a soft carpet, and there's a soft red rag placed over the table with golden plates. It looks like it's ready for a feast of some sorts. The light from the chandeliers glistens off the plate. Cherry the Flower, pretty. Scott, shh. Narrator, Scott quickly hides behind a pillar as one ice guard kicks down the door to the dining room. Guard 3, you know it costs money to replace the door, 7. Guard 7, shut up! I just want to be awesome! Guard 3, dude, we're knights! We're already cool! Guard 7, shut up, I want to be the coolest knight! Rawr! Narrator, he charges through the table, leaving a straight line through the table. He then attempts to pound his chest like a gorilla. Rawr! I'm so cool! Narrator, Guard 3 grabs onto Guard 7's arm. Guard 3, okay buddy, it's time to go. Guard 7, oh you wanna go? Okay. Guard 3, wait, not like that. Narrator, Guard 7 throws Guard 3 into the other end of the table. Guard 3, my back. Guard 7, Rawr! Guard 3, why do I always have to be paired up with you? Narrator, Scott takes this as his time to run out the door of the dining room. Guard 3 sees him as he runs out of the room. Guard 3, 7, I think I saw the human. Guard 7, no, you're just trying to stop me from winning this fight. Guard 3, no, seriously. Narrator, Guard 7 looks behind himself, but nobody was there. Guard 7, liar! Narrator, Guard 7 jumps up into the air and clenches his fist like there is a giant mallet, and then pounces on Guard 3. Guard 7, Rawr! Narrator, they exit the dining room. They are now in a long hallway. The rug is red, and there are golden pillars lined up on the sides of the hallway. They walk on the path and come across many rooms. It becomes daunting, the long hall of the rooms, but then they see Guard 4 and 5. Scott and Cherry hide behind another pillar. Guard 4, I swear I could have sawn them. Guard 5, I know, right? Me too. Scott, achoo! Narrator, Guard 3 and Guard 4 look behind the pillar that Scott and Cherry are hiding behind. Guard 4, oh hi, how are you doing? Guard 5, top of the morning, tell ya laddie. Cherry the Flower, oh come on, Scott, why'd you have to sneeze now? Scott, sorry, my allergies just kicked in. Guard 5, well, looks like your allergies are going to be the death of you. Narrator, they charge up their bows and arrows just as Scott pulls out $20 from his pocket. Scott, do you guys like money? Guard 4, actually we do. How much money do you have on you? Scott, $10 for each of you. Narrator, Scott gives them both $10. Guard 5, thank you. Narrator, the guards leave. Cherry the Flower, oh come on Scott, you could have gotten us killed. Scott, well sorry, there just so happens to be a flower on my shoulder. Narrator, they continue arguing as they walk down the hall. Cherry the Flower, I've literally been with you your entire journey, and your allergies are just now acting up? Scott, yeah, so? Cherry the Flower, you almost got us killed. Scott, well it's not my fault, and neither is it yours. Cherry the Flower, oh really, then whose fault is it? Scott, Cherry, look, a map. A map's fault? Oh my goodness, it's a map! Narrator, they see a map at the end of the hallway. They look at it. Cherry, aw man, we went the wrong way. The throne room is literally right behind us. Right behind this wall, too. Scott, so what do we have to do to get into the throne room then? Cherry the Flower, let's see. Narrator, Cherry takes a good long while to look at the map. Cherry the Flower, we should have to go the way we came from and the opposite direction. Scott, or we could just use this guy. Cherry the Flower, what? Narrator, Scott sees Guard 7 charging at them like a bull. Scott takes literally one step backwards and Guard 7 misses them, charging straight through the wall and probably more walls until he falls out the side of the castle. Scott, well that worked. Guard 3, you know what? I quit. Narrator, Guard 3 walks away. Narrator, they walk into the king's throne room. It's dark and gloomy there. The throne shimmers with gold. There's a door next to the throne. Scott and Cherry enter it. They see it. Their way out. The dark orb. Scott runs up to it as he gets ready to touch it, but then King Knight appears behind them and throws some ice balls at him, just as Scott and Cherry turn around and dodge them, and Scott summons a horde of fireballs at King Knight. King Knight deflects them with his trident, back at Scott and Cherry, and back at Scott as Cherry summons a force field around her and Scott. It disappears when all the fireballs are gone. King Knight, say, you're pretty good. I can tell this is going to be a bit of a challenge. The narrator, then the king of the night sky jumps at Scott and Cherry as they quickly jump out of the way. The dark orb illuminates the room with dark energy pulsating out of it. King Knight, so say, if you made it this far, that means that my guards must have been real idiots, huh? Scott, yep. Narrator, the king of the night sky summons some tiny stars in the air that fly at Scott and Cherry. They quickly jump out of the way, but one hits Scott's leg, cutting it open as blood gushes out of it. Scott, ah! Narrator, Cherry summons some flower pellets that just bounce off King Knight's armor. He continues walking towards them. Cherry decides to bust out the real stuff again. She uses her mind to pick up the king and chucks him into the wall. Then she drops him on the floor. Then she summons a bed of spikes between her and the king of the night sky. Cherry the Flower, if you want to hurt me or my friend, you're going to have to get through this bed of spikes. King Knight, you know I'm not an idiot. Your brother told me all about you. Narrator, he walks through the spikes like they're just an image to the mind, because they are. King Knight, so just give up already. Scott, I know her and trust me, she won't give up. Narrator, the king pins him against the wall as the dark light from the dark orb shines off his golden helmet. King Knight, sweet dreams. Narrator, the king of the night sky gets ready to put Scott to sleep with his trident, but not before Scott takes a big smell of Cherry's flower and sneezes in the king's face. King Knight, ah, my eyes! Cherry the flower, you know, Scott, that might be the first smart thing you've done on this entire journey. Scott, ha! Thanks, I guess. Narrator, Scott and Cherry run to the dark orb and grab onto it as they disappear into what is hopefully home. All rights reserved to Casino Co.